We continue now with a special edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, focusing on the disaster facing agriculture across the state. Joining me now is Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain. And
good morning.
Commissioner Strain, obviously a lot of damage with soybeans, with a lot of our crops. What have you seen going around the state and talking to our farmers and ranchers?
Right now on the soybean crop, we're about 40% harvested, so we still got another 60%. The beans we've harvested so far, the majority of them have been in very poor condition. If you look at overall numbers, you know, probably 30 to 50% of all the beans harvested have been poor to very poor. If you look at corn, we're about 95% harvested. Now, there is some damage in the corn crop as well, but it's not as severe. You know, sweet potatoes, we're just beginning to harvest that. You know, we've had some issues with rice, and of course, we're in delay in planting our sugar cane. But the big focus is really on, you know, the damage from Baton Rouge to the north, you know, and throughout the entire row crop country. And so, you know, we are asking for a Secretary Declaration of Disaster. I've signed a letter along with, you know, Mr. Jim Harper, President Harper of the Farm Bureau, and the head of the Cotton and Grain Association, delivered that to the governor's office. I've met with the governor's office several times. I was there yesterday as well. And so I had additional conversations this morning with Congresswoman Julia Letlow as she was getting on a plane going back to Washington, Senator Stuart Cathy, and others specifically today about where we are at in the emergency declaration. Under normal circumstances, the way it works is that within 90 days of the end of the disaster, then what happens is that the governor, based on the preliminary results, makes a request to the USDA. So we're trying to speed that up a little bit, but we only have about 40% harvested. However, we need a declaration so that we can try to get some dollars in one of the ad hoc provisions, probably in the current CR, which will be issued on October the 1st. So we're pushing it, trying to get a declaration which may have to be amended, because again, we're only 40% harvested. We had prolonged rain, and really at the wrong time, right at harvest. And so that is having an effect, and we won't know what the rest of those numbers are until we get, you know, the crops out of the field. And so overall, the weather patterns have made it pretty tough. Now we're hoping from today forward, at least for the next 7 to 8 days, we can get some good weather and get out there in the field.
And this was probably one of the worst years for this to happen.
The highest input cost.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at fertilizer costs, and some reports coming out today from AgriPulse, talking about overall fertilizer costs this year in the United States around $47 billion versus a year and a half ago at $30 billion. So you're looking at a greater than 50%, a 55-60% overall increase in the cost of fertilizer, the highest input, the most expensive crop we ever put in the ground. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line.
And you're getting something for a bushel for your beans.
That's right.
That
and so when you look at, you know, where we were doing pretty good until about a month ago, when the commodity prices really got weak because of, again, the issues of the recession. You know, all the monetary policies changing, and immediately those commodity prices went down. So, you know, several things going on. We need to, you know, to get as much of the crop out, and the farmers need to get as much of that to the elevators. And then if you look, you know, there's been a shift. The value of the commodities today is less than they were 6 weeks ago. And so again, we'll be watching all of our grain elevators as well. So there's stress throughout the entire system. There have been a number of barges of grain that have been shipped downriver to the export elevators that have been turned around and said, no, we cannot ship them out because the quality isn't good enough. So a lot of companies that are still buying the soybeans, they're shipping them north, not south, not downriver, shipping them upriver to either blend them or go ahead and process them into feed. So it's going to be you know, some pressures there. We're also working, if we get a Secretary Declaration, which we are going to get, just a period of, you know, what the number is going to be and what the data is going to be, then our bankers will be able to encourage the farmers to take out USDA loans versus bank loans.
So if we get that disaster declaration, which I know everyone's very confident is going to happen, what do our farmers and ranchers need to have? What do they need to be doing right now? The farmers need to keep very good records, okay? Keep very good records. Because again, what happens with a secretarial declaration of disaster, it opens up the door for low interest loans, right? USDA loans. Also for such things as the ELOT program, Emergency Assistance for Livestock, Fish, and Honeybees. Maybe some forage programs, because remember, we're coming after a drought. Believe it or not, we had a drought, then we had too much water. So one after the other.
and then whatever other federal programs that we can get in gear. Also, though, with putting money in a CR, that creates the ad hoc programs. And what we've seen before is that money would come to the Department of Ag here, and then we were able to get it out to the farmers.
Well, I'm glad that you're working so hard for our Louisiana farmers and ranchers.
Well, it's a team effort. Everybody's working. I mean, everybody's pulling together in the same direction. We just have to speak loud enough so the rest of the United States hears us, so that we can get the dollars that we need to make sure our farmers stay in business. Because at the end of the day, the issues, the other topics of today, as you've seen as this morning, is that food costs went up 0.7% in August. That's 13.5% for the year. The bottom line is, if we don't take care of our farmers, food costs are going to continue to rise, and they will rise exponentially.
And then it's going to affect everybody.
Everybody. That's right.
That's right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Strain. So we're going to stay on top of that. Be sure to keep good records. That way, whenever it's time to file for those monies, you have what you need. Well, still to come on Twyla, a baby boom for a Twyla boost. Stay with us.